Please welcome the Chairman of the Board of the Fragrance Foundation and President, Fine Fragrance for Firmenich, Jerry Vittoria.
Hello and good evening. As was just pointed out, my name is Jerry Vittoria, Chairman of the Board of the Fragrance Foundation. We are pleased to welcome you all to the second Masterclass. Tonight, we're very honored to have Jean-Paul Agon, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer of L'Oreal, as our very special guest. Mr. Agon's deep commitment to fragrance and to the Fragrance Foundation is highly appreciated, and I'm sure tonight's insights into our industry will be of great interest to you all. But first, I am so proud to be presenting to you the new president of the Fragrance Foundation, Linda G. Levy.
Am I coming out?
Linda has been deeply involved in the Fragrance Foundation for several years in her prior role at Macy's. Linda brings to her new role a broad background of leadership experiences in both retail and marketing with a number of our leading member companies. Her profound knowledge of the fragrance industry is invaluable for the future success of the Fragrance Foundation. The board of members and I are very excited about this new chapter of the foundation, and Linda leading the way with our member companies as we focus our attention to creating greater consumer engagement and becoming the industry's go-to source for training, education, and expertise in fragrance. We are certain that under her leadership, the foundation and our industry will rise to new heights. Without further ado, let's give a warm round of applause to Linda Levy, President of the Fragrance Foundation.
Thank you. Thanks. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Fragrance Foundation's Masterclass. Thank you, Jerry, for your very kind introduction. I'm actually thrilled, and I think everyone who knows me knows I mean it. I am thrilled to see so many of you here tonight, colleagues and friends in the audience. Thank you for your ongoing support of the Fragrance Foundation. Now, if I haven't called you, emailed you, or otherwise knocked down your door, I will be doing that very shortly, so just get ready, because all of you and I will be working even more closely together in the coming months and years. This is my first event as your new president. You can call me Madam President if you wish. And I feel energized by your presence. So it's interesting to me because life events often bring us full circle. I started my career with 3 years at Lancôme. Hi, Lancôme guys. My Lancôme makeup artist is backstage, and I'm loyal to a T with them. I spent the next 15 years after 3 years at Lancôme in the industry, and then we reunited, L'Oreal and I, when I got to be your fabulous merchant at Macy's. So it's a full circle for me, and we are thrilled that we have this very special guest tonight. So we're excited to have a visionary and beauty industry icon on stage tonight. Jean-Paul Agon, the chairman and CEO of L'Oreal. We're looking forward to sharing ideas and life experiences. I'm going to ask him a couple of tricky questions, and that will leave you feeling hopefully inspired and enlightened. So I'd like to take this time to do something important, which is introduce the notables. Please hold your applause. They are the notables. Wave to me, you're all in the front row. Wave, okay. Just want to make sure you're there. They are really the future of the fragrance industry. These young up-and-comers, we're calling you, represent the best and the brightest, and they're the ones to watch. Can the notables now please stand together, turn around and face the audience, give them a wave, as I'd like to introduce you to all of them. We want to acknowledge the fragrance industry's next generation. So hold your applause. I'm going to name them. First, we have Alexandra Hardiman from Aran Beauty. Give a wave. I knew you couldn't control yourselves. We have Jessica Luke from Simrise. We have Sophia McLaughlin from Chanel. We have Lorraine Miche de Melleret from IFF. And our solo gentleman tonight, Justin Welsh from Firmenich. Galleon de Wendell from Coty, and a woman I know quite well, Anna Wilkes, sorry to Anna, from Interparfum. Please join all together. Thank you, ladies and gent. Please take a seat. I also want to welcome some very special people we have in the audience. And don't get embarrassed, guys, because you don't know this is coming. But we'd like to welcome tonight Dean Stephen Canlian and the FIT class of 2018 from the Fragrance Marketing and Management Master's Program. It's only fitting that we have FIT's master students at our master class. And in addition, another special guest, we have tonight Dean Virginia Bono-Figlio, who is the undergraduate professor and associate chairperson of the department. Okay, so now the next person comes out. I am now very happy to turn the mic over to Felix Mayer-Harting, the global head of fine fragrances at Givaudan, our very, very generous master class sponsor tonight. I'll be back. Enjoy.
So thank you, Linda, very much, and congratulations to you on making your debut as Fragrance Foundation President. And I would reiterate the words of Jerry, we're really excited for the future of the Fragrance Foundation under your leadership. And I'm very happy to welcome you all here tonight. It's an honor for Givaudan to sponsor this masterclass event, which is now in its second year. And thank you as well to the Fragrance Foundation and the whole team of the Fragrance Foundation for all of your efforts to bring it together. And it's great to see so many people a sellout, as I think we heard today. And honestly, I think there's no greater opportunity than the opportunity to hear from and learn from other leaders who define our industry. I add my congratulations to the notables, and I welcome the FIT class as well. And above all, of course, what I'd like to do is introduce and especially thank Mr. Agon for agreeing to headline tonight and to put himself under the spotlight of Linda's questions. We're incredibly fortunate and appreciative of your presence and your willingness to share your insights and wisdoms here tonight. And as a leader in the beauty industry, Mr. Agon shines a light along new paths, building brands that consumers love, opening emerging markets, leading the industry in digital, and pioneering in sustainability programs and mindset. And over the last decade, L'Oréal has launched many of the most iconic fragrances which we know. Welcome, Mr. Agon, to New York. Welcome to the Fragrance Foundation, and thank you very much.
So good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here. Very impressed. Impressed also with the right time. You know, I had been told that I should enter the stage at 6:37, and it's 6:37 pile sharp. So it's really impressive. And I have 5 minutes for remarks. So I'll be short. It's a great pleasure for me to be in New York. For those of you who don't know me, in fact, I worked here and I lived here. It was between 2001 and 2005. It was absolutely a great experience professionally and personally. At the beginning, a bit difficult, as I just arrived with my family 1 week before September 11, and I took my position after Guy Perlong 1 week after September 11. And, but in a way, so it was a tragic moment for New York, for America, for so many people. But at the same time, it was a special moment, and it created, I think, a bond within the organization, within the company, and I would say that after that day, things have always been different, and it's a very strong memory that always have in my heart. After that, the 5 years that I spent in New York and in America were absolutely fabulous. I loved being in New York, working here. I loved, I'm a very competitive guy. So so America is the country of competition. So I really enjoyed it. I remember a few of my competitors who said, when I left, we are so happy that you leave, Jean-Paul. I don't know if it was nice or not, but I took it positively. And the only thing that I regretted when I left was an article of Women's Wear Daily, WWD, because they wrote an article about me, and I thought that they would write that a great marketer went away or whatever, and they said that the king of the dance floor left New York. But I'm pretty proud also to be the king of the dance floor. It's true that I missed also the great parties in New York, where I used to dance a lot. And by the way, if there are any party like that, please invite me. I'm still okay for dancing and for the dance floor. Since then, as the teams of L'Oréal USA know, they know too well, I come twice a year. And as I explained before, I come twice a year when the business is okay. If the business is good, I promise to the team that I will come only once a year. And if the business is tough, I come 3 times a year. So it's a great incentive for everyone at L'Oréal to make sure that the business is as good as possible. And every time I come, it's always the same emotion. Being in New York, working here, working with the teams here, are amazingly talented teams at L'Oréal USA, but I'm sure that there are also amazingly talented teams in other companies here, but it's always an immense pleasure. And to conclude my 5 minutes, I would just like to say that I'm particularly excited right now when I come back. I was excited this week and 6 months ago, because honestly, the world of beauty has changed tremendously in these past 2-3 years. And when I share that with our teams, I tell them that for me, who have a long experience, as I started at L'Oréal 39 years ago, yes, 39 years ago, to be honest, between 78 and I would say 2008, there was not such a big difference. For 30 years, we did business more or less the same way. But this past 3-4 years have been absolutely amazing in terms of transformation. Of course, with the digital revolution, the consumer revolution, the retail revolution, the media revolution, and in fact, the world of beauty, this industry as we know it, has nothing to do today with what it was even 4 or 5 years ago. And personally, I find it extremely interesting. I really envy all of you who are starting in the industry right now, because I think you're going to see things that are absolutely amazing. The fact that the digital revolution places the consumer at the heart of the whole principle is absolutely fantastic. And I think it opens new dimension, new horizons, new perspective to this industry that will be absolutely fabulous. So I think my 5 minutes are done. I'm ready now for the tricky questions. But there is no one to ask me my questions. So I suppose that I'm supposed to keep going on. There is no one for our questions here? Oh, yes.
We're going to sit down.
So I'll take the machine.
While you're adjusting, I just want to call out one other person who we're so excited to have in our audience tonight. Annette Greene is here with us tonight, who is our President Emeritus. So I'm going to be
ready.
You're ready?
Yeah.
Put on your seatbelt.
Yeah, okay.
I'm here now. But thank you for joining us tonight. We really appreciate it.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
And we're very interested in learning about your path that led to your great success. Inquiring minds out there really want to know, and they have sent me questions. So many of the students and industry professionals who are in the audience sent me questions. I had to cull them down, and many of them had much in common. So I'm going to present as many as time allows.
Good.
And we have a lot of ground to cover, so let's begin.
All right.
Okay, remember what it was like before, because there'll be questions for you guys after. So let's just start with the beginning of your career, if that is okay. I found it very interesting.
It was a long time ago.
No? A few minutes back. But when I read about your path after Paris, you went to Greece. So could you tell us what it is like to be a young executive in a foreign land where you do not speak the language and possibly everyone is a little more mature than you?
Yeah, in fact, it's. I'm sorry for the L'Oréal guys because they know the story. You know, it's at L'Oréal, it's a kind of legend. So, so sorry, guys. No, in fact, it's an interesting story because it's quite typical of what can happen at L'Oréal. You know, I joined L'Oréal when I was 21 years old after school, and I started as a salesman, and I did 1 year and a half marketing. And one day I was called by the top VP HR, human resource at L'Oréal, you know, at the top floor of Clichy, you know, top executive floor, big carpet, no noise. So I was really impressed, especially because at that time I was a bit turbulent as a young guy. And I said, my God, what did I do? They're going to fire me or something. And so I went there, and the guy was very nice, and he said, Monsieur Agon, we want to send you as a general manager of Greece. Wow! I said, my God, that's a miracle, you know. And of course, I said immediately, I said, yes, of course. When can I leave? When can I take my ticket and go? And so we discussed 10 minutes, and then I remember, I can see still this vision right after the appointment. I went to a bookstore because at that time there was no internet or whatever, and I bought the books to learn Greek, and I was starting to learn Greek the same night. So I went to Greece, and in fact what I discovered, of course, was that you know, it was not the big subsidiary or the big business. It was a very tiny business, almost bankrupt. In a catastrophic situation. But the worst of all is that I learned after that, in fact, they had proposed a job to 10 other people at L'Oréal, and no one wanted to take it. Of course. Of course, because, you know, it was a kind of suicide mission, you know. Anyone knowing anything about this company would have never taken the job. But I didn't know, so I went there. Mm-hmm. I went there, and in fact, I fell in love with Greece, and I'm still in love with Greece. You know, I have a house in Greece. I spend my vacation in Greece because I fell in love, and maybe I fell in love with Greece because you know, it was really something special. You know, I could feel when I arrived there that, you know, I could feel the music, I could feel the light, I could feel the language. It was something special. Mm. And in fact, maybe it's because my name is a Greek name. Agon, you know, comes from, in fact, the first Olympic Games 3,000 years ago were called the Olympiakes Agones. So it means fight. You know. Okay. I'm sure it will not surprise my dear friends, Cyril. And so I felt home in Greece, and so the last part of the story is that when I met for the first time the sales team. It was not a big sales team, it was, I don't know, 30 people, but it was my first time, and the person I was replacing, I was really shocked because he was French, he had been in Greece for 7 years, and after 7 years, he still didn't speak Greek. And he was speaking to the people in French, and there was someone translating, and I was really shocked. You know, I was 25, very romantic, etc. So the next meeting, when he left, I learned a text in Greek, and I said, you know, dear fellow Greeks, employees of L'Oréal, I I love this country, I love Greece, and I swear that I will learn Greek within 1 year. And I swear that if within 1 year I don't speak Greek fluently, I'll go back to Paris. You know, when you're 25, you say these kind of things.
You say a lot of things.
I don't know if I would still say the same today, but, but anyway, so I had said it. And after that, you know, I had a huge pressure.
Yeah.
Because, of course, I had to do it. I could not go back. And so, day after day after day, you know, I was trying, I was learning, and it's very difficult Greek. Because it's not
Greek
like
to me,
anything.
Jean-Paul.
It's all Greek to you, yeah. So, and in fact, it came. I remember it came after a few months, and then I learned very well. I spoke Greek, and I spoke really fluently. And because my name was Greek, after 2 years, everyone took me for a Greek. And when I was visiting customers everywhere, stores, salons, pharmacies, perfumeries, etc., every time it was always the same joke, you know, because the first question of a Greek when they meet each other is, where do you come from? À propos, he said. And I said, from Montmartre. And so the guy said, Montmartre? Where is Montmartre? Montmartre is in Paris. Okay, so it was the start of the conversation, and it helped me a lot. So it was a great, I have to say that these 4 years in Greece were absolutely amazing. And the last part, if I may, is that it was, you know, I became so Greek, because, you know, when I do something, I do it really intensely. I became so Greek that I took all the Greek, how do you say, you know, tricks or whatever. And after 4 years, when the people of L'Oréal saw me becoming so Greek, the people in Paris said, okay, we have to bring him back because we're going to lose him forever.
Wow. We didn't know you were so funny, Jean-Paul.
I'm not funny, I'm just intense.
Oh, yeah. Well, well, well. The other question I wanted to ask you next, which you mentioned in the intro a bit, was it was a very, very intense time when you came to the United States of America. To come here at the 9/11 is rather dramatic. It's never business as usual in the US, but that was a world and life-changing experience. So with all of that as a dramatic entry, when you think of the years that you did spend here, and we're very interested to know, what is your perception? What did you learn about the American consumer while you lived in the USA?
Oh, I learned a lot. You know, I had this great opportunity before I took over from Guy Long to have 6 months to visit America. Because that's the way we do sometimes at L'Oréal. So I was sent here, and for 6 months, I visited 500 stores across America, you know, and everywhere. Florida, Texas, California, Chicago, everywhere. So I really, the first thing I really learned was about retail. You know, I knew pretty well all retailers, all type of stores, and when you spend your days, of course, you know that very well.
For retailers.
In the retail stores, you also understand consumers.
Yeah.
So no, I think that I learned pretty well the American consumers. I think that the American consumers are obviously among the most expert and discerning consumers in the world, and that's why competition here is so fierce, because to be able to convince a consumer to switch from the brand they use to the brand you want them to use is always something very very sporty. But no, it was a great experience. But I have to say that I learned even more from my competitors. You know, of all the countries where I've worked, I think that it's really in America where you know the competition is so fierce, and at the same time so healthy, I would say, because it's especially in this industry, because I think that this industry, we all know, it's about innovation, it's about new idea, it's about creation, especially in the fragrance world. So the more competition there is, the better you get, and it was really a great experience.
Thanks for sharing that. We're going to then move forward, if you don't mind, because there's sort of, we call it an elephant in the room sometimes. So if I don't ask you this question, I don't think that it would seem normal. There was a very big event that affected L'Oréal in the past couple of weeks. So in the best way that you could describe to us, we'd really like to hear from you. How will the recent passing of Lillian Bettencourt affect L'Oréal's future?
Well, you know, first it affects us emotionally because, you know, many articles have been written about Madame Bettencourt, but we should never forget that very simply, Madame Bettencourt was the daughter, the only daughter of the founder. And after all, so it's a short history. You know, the L'Oréal was founded in 1909 by Eugène Schueller, and he had one daughter, and this daughter was Madame Bettencourt. So it's again, you know, it's a very short history, and we are very grateful. I think that all L'Oréal teams, all L'Oréal people are very grateful to Madame Bettencourt because, in fact, because her father passed away in 1957, so it is 60 years ago, and so for 60 years she really has held the company, you know, always committed, always saying that she would stand for it, she would go with it. She was always extremely supportive of the teams, of the management. She was always extremely interested to know about everything we were doing, products, brands, people, teams, etc. So she's a bit the grandmother of L'Oréal.
Wow.
So and I knew her well, so she was a bit like my mother in a way, and it's true that we had a very strong emotional bond with her. And beside that, of course, she was not at the board anymore. She was not close to the business, so I would say that there is no more impact than that.
Yeah.
The big impact is the emotional impact, and I think it's true for all employees. You know, we got hundreds, maybe thousands of messages from L'Oréal employees from all over the world that night. So it's I'm sure that for many people in our company, it was something very strong.
You know, it's funny the way you describe the situation, because for all of us, I think we read about it in the news and we think about the big corporation, but we never hear that very personal feeling, which makes it sound and feel very different. So I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, because, you know, people see L'Oréal sometimes especially from outside, as a big corporation. In fact, if I may, it's almost a family business. It's a business that has been with the same family for 110 years. So obviously it's a huge business. It's more than $20 billion market cap. It's a huge size. But it is also run in a way. Of course, it's a public company.
Yeah.
We have to deliver the quarters. Everyone knows that at L'Oréal. The quarters, the years, the margin, everything. We are very disciplined. But at the same time, it has the soul of a family business.
Yeah.
You know, it's long term. It's we never favor short term over long term. It's really really important in the culture of the company. The human factor, which is very often linked to family businesses, is very strong at L'Oréal.
I think the audience understands that. Many people in this room are part of families and generations, but hearing what it is like at L'Oréal puts it in perspective. Okay, so let's go back to some more interesting questions that came out of the audience, and I've called. So here's one for you. Okay. How do you balance planning globally when you need to market locally?
Well, it's a good question, and in fact, at L'Oréal, we thought about that, especially after the crisis in 2008 and 9. And in fact, we have come up with a concept, a strategy that I call universalization. It's a bit difficult.
Is that a real word?
No.
Okay.
We invented it. You know, it's like a fragrance name or whatever. It's great to invent.
Universe. Say it again, please.
Universalization. like universal, avec isation at the end.
Okay.
So
It's a word tonight.
it's not easy to pronounce, I agree.
Okay.
So, and what does it mean? It means that it's globalization while respecting differences. It means that in the beauty world, and I know that because I've spent my whole life, turning around the globe. In this industry, you need to have, at least that's the way we see it. You need to have global brands.
Yes.
Most of them have to be global brands. But even if you have global brands, they have to be, in every part of the world, relevant to the consumers. And so if you take an example of L'Oréal Paris, if you take the L'Oréal Paris brand, L'Oréal Paris is the #1 brand in the world. It's the #1 brand, it's the #1 beauty brand in America, in China, in Russia, in many countries. And the L'Oréal Paris brand imagery, equity is the same everywhere.
Yeah.
But the formulation of the products will be different in every part of the globe. Because formulation and some specific items or some specific products, so that in order for the L'Oréal Paris to be at the same time completely global, but also completely relevant locally. And that's what we have, the hubs, the R&D and marketing hubs around the world, of course in New York, in Rio for Latin America, in Japan, in Shanghai, in Mumbai, now in Johannesburg, and of course in Paris. So we try to reconcile always this necessary global approach, but with never forgetting the necessary, at the same time, relevant approach for every consumer.
So it's easy to understand that for makeup, you have different shades or different conditions or different climates. How is that true for fragrance? How would you describe that?
Oh, but fragrance, you're right. Fragrance, you cannot change the juice from one continent to the other. But you know also that successful fragrances are not the same everywhere in the world.
True.
And it's one thing I learned here is that pretty often a successful fragrance, a successful juice in Europe would maybe not be that successful in America, and vice versa. And we don't even talk about Asia.
So the portfolio changes depending.
Yeah, exactly. So you can play with your portfolio. Of course, you cannot do the same thing that I just described by changing formulation because you have also the global shopper. Yeah. But for example, for skincare, it's extremely important. Skincare, despite the fact that, for example, again, the example of L'Oréal Paris, even if the L'Oréal Paris skincare line is everywhere in the world, you would definitely find different formulation, different products in China, in America, in Europe, in Latin America, etc.
So how do you manage L'Oréal's traditions in a worldwide culture with so much diversity? How is the culture? How would you describe the culture of L'Oréal?
Oh, the culture of L'Oréal, I would say it's basically fundamentally entrepreneurial. We want to keep it entrepreneurial. Again, it's linked to this family history. We want to be a large company, but with the spirit of a small one, a leader with the spirit of a challenger. And we want to keep the culture of the company very entrepreneurial, very human. For example, at L'Oréal, everything is based on the people. Not, you have generally speaking, you have two ways to organize a company. Either you believe first and foremost in organization, processes, structures, everything, and then the people adapt to that. Or you believe first and foremost in people, and in a way you have to to adapt the organization to the people. Definitely L'Oréal is in the second category. That's why, by the way, L'Oréal is often seen as an organized chaos, which is okay, because at the end of the day, the most important thing is, again, to have this capacity to be an entrepreneur, to take risks, to take bets, to go for it, to empower people to do what they want to do, what they think they should do. So this is the spirit.
I'm going to change the subject. As I am getting to know every member of the Fragrance Foundation group, and from where I came before, the whole subject about digital and social media is huge. And we see how it seems to be affecting different categories in beauty, but fragrance is different. So how can fragrance brands better leverage digital and social? And if you think there is an example, who do you think is actually doing a great job of it right now?
To be honest, I'm not, I'm not the expert in digital applied to fragrances. No, what I think is that digital can be really extremely precious for fragrance because after all, fragrance is all about imaginaire, emotion, visual territory, and I really think that thanks to digital, we can do things today that we couldn't do a few years ago. The other thing that is really possible today with digital is, the targeted marketing, which is absolutely fundamental for fragrance, because we all know that, contrary to other categories like, I don't know, shampoos or things like that, by definition, the fragrance market is very segmented. Super success in fragrance can reach maybe 2 or 3% market share. So if you can reach very precisely with targeted marketing exactly the audience that you think is the right one for your product, that's extremely productive. And it can also help you to differentiate the campaigns that you are doing on 2 or 3 fragrances in order to avoid overlap and cannibalization. So I think that what we are experiencing with L'Oréal, and it's the work of the teams, is really a complete revolution in the way we work on fragrances. And apparently it works not bad because, as you know, we are #1 worldwide. So I'm sorry because I know there are a few competitors in the room, but we are still #1. So
I can tell. I know you're not competitive
if
at
my
all.
informations are correct.
Here's one for you. This comes a lot from my background as a retailer, but I think the beauty and the artistry and the perfumer are really not upfront and out there with the consumer. So my question is, what is the way the fragrance brands can deliver storytelling and perfumer artistry into the retail environment? What do you think that should be?
Wow.
If you had the answer, you might not be sitting here tonight, but what would be your vision?
Yeah, I might be sitting here. But no, I think that we all can do much better than we do. I think that we are not doing too bad, by the way, but because you can see in many stores the way fragrances, stories, or universe are expressed, and it's pretty well done. But I think you're right, and I think that the new technologies will probably also allow us to go even further.
Yeah.
3D visuals, or I mean, I'm sure we will be able to do things that we were not able to do before. So I'm pretty.
It's a journey we're on, though. I think.
Yeah, I think eventing also is extremely important. There are many things that we have to do.
We have to make the story and the storytelling and the ingredients and the perfume. We need to bring that to the consumer.
Absolutely.
So we're on that quest. Okay, here's a question from our friends from Givaudan. But I think it's a question to everyone. What is your unique approach to sustainability?
Oh, it's not I don't know if it's unique, but it's a very intense again. We don't want to do things halfway. So we think that as the leader of the beauty industry, we have to be also at the forefront of sustainability, because after all, if you want to be the leader in beauty, you have to contribute to make the planet a beautiful place. And so we launched a very, very ambitious plan that we call Sharing Beauty with All, which is a very ambitious one. And I think I can say it's probably the most ambitious of all fast-moving consumer good companies. And it's really about everything. It's a completely comprehensive plan. It's about sustainable innovation. So, for example, we are committed to make sure that by 2020, 100% of our products will have a positive impact in terms of environment or society, which means that every product of the company will be replaced in the next 3 or 4 years by new products that will have this positive impact.
That's a wow.
That's a wow, yeah. And I can tell you that it's a big change. It's a big change because for the first time, it means that all the marketers at L'Oréal, when they create a new product, they don't have only as before 2 objectives. One being making a successful product, 2, making a product that will contribute, of course, to the financial equation of the company. But third, also to make sure that every new product that is launched will have a positive impact in terms of environment. And so we have developed tools. Now all the teams are working with tools that help them to make sure that every step is a progress compared to where it was before. So that's for sustainable innovation. Same for sustainable production. Wow. 60% reduction compared to 2005 in terms of gas emissions, consumption of water, waste, etc. So on all aspects, we have a very, very comprehensive program. And I have to say that the response of the teams at L'Oréal have been absolutely extraordinary. Extraordinary because people understand that it's great, that it makes even more sense. Mm-hmm. And for people in the R&D, in the operations, in marketing, everywhere, I mean, this program is a fantastic program.
Well, it sounds very ambitious.
Yeah.
But it's keeping everyone very motivated, it sounds like. So
yeah.
Here's another one for you. Are there innovations in non-beauty categories or industries that you think would inspire how fragrances are experienced, purchased, sampled, or marketed? What do you see outside of the beauty category that you're finding inspiring?
Oh, you see many things. You know, you see obviously fashion. Fashion is clearly, by definition, you know, because I think that 70% of our fragrances are inspired by or in partnership with fashion. Mm-hmm. So by definition, I think that fashion should and could and can inspire us. But not only, I think that there are many other things. I don't know, maybe the movie industry, the game industry, the gaming industry, the luxury in many luxury world in many aspects. So I think that if we look all over us, around us, there are many industries that, by the way, that are doing great inroads, mm-hmm. great progress, that have transformed themselves, and that can be also very inspiring for the fragrance industry.
Okay, there's another thing coming into the fragrance world that I wanted to ask you about. There's a big rise of artisanal and natural fragrances. Mm-hmm. So what do you see that entry into fragrance? How is it going to affect the overall category? Do you think it's big, small? What does it mean to you?
Honestly, I find it extremely interesting and positive. Mm-hmm. You know, to be very sincere, even if I shock a few, I was not very happy when 10 years ago or 15 years ago there was this fad about the celebrity fragrances, which I think was a bit kind of easy marketing and mm-hmm. short-term business. And it has proven to be that, by the way, because it's fading away. They
come in and they go out.
Yeah, and globally it's fading away, and I think it's good for the industry. On the contrary, these collection, I think, are something fantastic because it's all about quality, mm-hmm. authenticity, product that probably are here to stay. It's another approach to the fragrance world. I think it's extremely positive.
I just met the Atelier Cologne gentleman tonight. So is that an example of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think it's one of the best moves of the industry recently, and we're going to try to participate as much as we can with Atelier Cologne, which is a beautiful brand.
Okay, so here's a personal-esque sort of question, not too deep.
The tricky ones.
Have a little water there. But go back in your memory bank. This is actually something we're very curious about. What is your first olfactive memory?
That's very personal.
We're going to get it more personal soon, Jean-Paul. Yeah.
I think the very, very first was probably my mother. fragrance. But I'm sure that many in the room would remember.
Everyone's smiling now. Yeah,
would remember the smell of a lipstick or something that. But after that, when I was a bit older, I would say, I remember the fragrance of my first girlfriend.
Okay, let's talk.
And it doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately.
What was it, Jean-Paul?
Not the girlfriend, but the fragrance.
Oh.
And it was Fiji.
Oh.
Fiji, the Guilaroche.
Who remembers that out there?
And it had, it's interesting because it had a great juice, but it had also a great, of course, imaginaire, imagery. And I still remember the words, it was La femme est une île, Fiji est son parfum. The woman is an island, and Fiji is a fragrance, which was,
very poetic.
40 years ago, not bad. I didn't do it, but it was L'Oréal. Guilaroche was L'Oréal.
Did you use that line on the girl?
On the girl?
Yeah.
On my girl?
Yeah.
No. I don't remember that. That's personal, maybe. No, but it's great because
you do remember it though.
No, it was fantastic, and I think it was one of the best lines in the history of fragrance. The woman is an island. Fiji is a fragrance.
Is everyone taking
for
notes?
Fiji, it's beautiful. Yeah. It's a great story. Unfortunately, the brand has disappeared, so it didn't help. Maybe I was the only one really fan, but.
When you break up, that's what happens. So here's another one for you. What is it about the fragrance industry that keeps you up at night?
First, nothing keeps me. I sleep very well. People know.
They're not sleeping.
At L'Oréal,
and you're
they know
sleeping.
that I sleep very well. Not because I sleep in meetings, of course, but because I have no jet lag and I can sleep anywhere, anytime, in any place, cabs, planes, anywhere. So I'm a great sleeper. So nothing keeps me awake at night.
But what bothers you the most then? While you're conscious, while you're awake?
To be honest, I will tell you, I think it's the very important thing for tomorrow is the ingredients.
Okay.
I think the ingredient story is a critical thing, and that we have to really to work on it together, brands, suppliers, because this is a critical thing for tomorrow.
How are ingredients changing these days from your point of view?
It depends where. Regulations are not the same, but regulations will become more and more strict everywhere in the world, and the fragrance, all the other categories are adapting to that pretty well. They are working hard on it. I think that we still have to make a little bit of progress on that front for the fragrance business.
So you talked about Greece and you talked about Fiji. I've also heard that you're a big sailor.
Yes.
Is it true?
Yes.
Okay.
That's why I love Fiji and
this is all good.
The islands.
So what did sailing teach you about the beauty biz? What's the connection?
Oh, sailing says a lot. It teaches you a lot. I think that instinctively I could spend the night on this. So maybe
go right ahead. We're here.
No, it teaches you a lot. Especially regatta. When you do regatta, it teaches you a lot. For example, a very simple thing. Sorry, maybe it sounds banal and stupid, but for example, if you want to win a regatta, and we were discussing that this week with the teams, if you want to win a regatta, even if you have the best boat, the best team, you know what you need?
What?
Wind. And so the first thing that you have to do when you want to win a regatta is to try to understand where is the wind, and position yourself on the sea where the wind will be or is. And if you do that, even if your boat is not the best or your team not the best, you're going to win the regatta. So it's the same for business. So you have to see where the wind is. Wind meaning growing segments. If you are with a brand on a segment of the market that is not where there is no wind, you can do whatever you want, you will not grow. If you position yourself smartly on what I call the ascending trends, immediately you will see a fantastic growth. So that's just one example. But there are hundreds like that. I mean, in fact, selling is a great lesson for business.
So is the wind blowing in a direction that is bringing in something new to you?
In fact,
At
we
L'Oréal?
are, it's the other way around. You have to move your
Grab
business
the wind?
where the wind is. And that's what we are doing. That's what we are doing with our brands. And it's obvious. If you look, for example, in our portfolio, I would not judge, of course, my respected competitors, but if we look at our portfolio of brands, the brands that are on the part of the water where there is wind, they are growing very nicely, and those who are not, they have difficulty. So our job, and my job especially, is to try to tell people, guys, let's go there. There is wind there, and to move our brands and our initiatives and our new products and our innovations on that front. And then when you have wind, it's much easier.
It's philosophical, but it makes a
Oh,
lot
it's
of
simple.
sense. A lot of sense.
Common sense.
Let's go back to the notables and the students in the audience for a minute. So if you could give them one piece of advice, or 2 or 3 if you wish, for this audience, either career or life, what would it be? What would be your words of wisdom, Jean-Paul?
Well,
I know. We're looking at you for it.
Well, I think they probably are very banal, but after 39 years, they are still the same. I think what's extremely, the only thing very important is to do what you love. Is to be sure that you have chosen a job in which every morning when you wake up, because when you wake up in the morning, there is a very short moment of conscience where your mind is not yet working, and it's just immediate conscience. And what's very important is to make sure that when you wake up at that moment, you're happy to wake up, you're happy to stand up, you're happy to go to your job, whatever the job is.
Yes.
And if it's that, it will keep you excited and happy and energized for your life. I have to say, sincerely, sometimes when I talk to young people and they see me with 39 years at L'Oréal, they say, "My God, this guy is crazy. I will never do that in my life." First, of course, when I started, I didn't know that I would do 39 years or 40 years at L'Oréal. But I did it with passion, because every morning I was excited to wake up and to go to do what I had to do. It was Greece, it was Germany, it was China, it was here, it was brands, it was whatever, but everything was exciting. So this is for professionally, the very, very important piece of advice.
Whenever someone asks me what is the job you like the best, for me, and those who know me, I have the same answer every time. It is the job that I'm in.
That's a very positive attitude.
Yeah, because if it isn't, move on.
You're right.
But even though I say that, you have had so many different experiences. If you had to pick one, except for the one you are in right now, what is the job of this entire time at L'Oréal?
See you in New York.
Okay.
Come on.
Know your audience.
Come on.
Okay, so one day, not today and not tomorrow, you will leave L'Oréal and get on the sailboat or do whatever you want to do. What are your plans after you retire, whenever that will be?
It's a bit early to talk about that.
But it's fun to talk about it when it's in the distance, right?
Oh, I'm very. I think that I will apply the same rule for the next life, which will be what do I want to do to get excited every morning when I wake up, and I have a few ideas. Maybe I will keep them for me for the moment. But
okay. Let's go back just
but selling will be a large part of that.
Selling?
Yeah.
Sailing.
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 Sorry, sailing. Not selling. Maybe both.
I get a little confused with that selling
Sorry,
thing.
that's my French accent.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Even 5 years in New York were not enough to wipe away my French accent.
Don't wipe it away. again, back to the notables and people who are looking for the next thing in their career. If you were to interview one of these fabulous individuals in the front row or the other class of notables, what would you say are the qualities or characteristics that you really look for, that you really try to identify to figure out if this is someone who has a bright future?
Number one, by far, motivation. You know, motivation can move mountains, as we say, and someone without motivation will move nothing. So, motivation is absolutely critical. Then a little bit of talent help. No, it's very important also. Not only, you know, for example, when I chose my career at the beginning, you know, I did my own analysis, and I was pretty hard with myself. You know, I tried really to understand where I'm good or not. You know, for example, when I did a business school, at that time, it was very fancy to do the finance option. At that time, everyone wanted to become a banker or whatever. So I did the finance, and I was so bad in finance that at the end, because I hated that.
You said you have to do what you love.
So boring, finance. So, so that at the end of my finance year, my finance teacher said, "Oh, you know, Jean-Paul, you're really good, but at marketing, not at finance. So go to marketing, and you'll be happy for the rest of your life." And he was right. So it's very important to know what you are good at, because, you know, professional life is not always easy. It's a little bit a competition, of course. Even if we want to be all nice, of course, if the career is not easy, and so if you have to play on your strength. So motivation, talent, and courage.
Yeah.
Courage is very important because things do not come easily. You know, today I speak as CEO of L'Oréal, so maybe everyone believes, wow, it's great, fantastic, easy, etc. No, honestly, I had several moments in my life where when I just thought that probably I would not make it. You know, it was in several moments very difficult, very tough, and I said, maybe I will not make it. Maybe I will not be successful. So maybe if I'm not successful, I will do something else. So it's life. So you have to have courage. And
Are you motivated?
And
do you get it, guys?
Well, you do what you want, and that's just my advice.
Okay, here's a little funsy question to close it down. Everyone in the audience who has a birthday in July, please raise your hand. Come on. Okay, there's
not many, huh? Not many.
Okay, well.
July 6th?
Okay, this is your life, Jean-Paul Agon. I did a little research, and I found out, first I got the wrong date, but then I got it right. I always do in the end, you know. And July 6th is your birthday. So I looked up who else was born on July 6th, and what do you have in common with them? So here are the three big names I found, because whenever we meet someone who has a birthday near us, we think there's a kinship. Number one, the spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama. Number two, Marc Chagall. And number three, certainly not Jean-Paul's favorite, but I have to tease him a little.
Of course. I love it.
Sylvester Stallone.
I know the question.
You need
Sylvester
a little
Stallone. I love Rocky.
So if these people were born on the day that you were born,
I'm fine with
okay,
Rocky.
You're in good company.
Yeah.
Now, what it also says for all those people I described and more, that
said intense.
Yeah, passionate, optimistic, strong, confident, and sorry, L'Oreal, you have a lot of meetings this week. Strive for perfection.
Of course.
Okay, so what do you think you have in common with this very colorful and eclectic group?
No, first, thank you for the question, and thank you for not also choosing maybe some other people that were born that day and that maybe are not that. I don't know. I'm not. But I'm sure that if you look very deeply,
I think of you and the Dalai Lama. Yeah.
There must be other people that I would not be proud to share the same birthday. But no, I think it's. I didn't know, by the way. So thank you very much.
I taught you one thing tonight.
Yeah, no,
That's good.
many things, but this is great. No, I think that that's what I said at the beginning. Intensity, intense. I think that Dalai Lama is definitely intense. Marc Chagall was greatly intense.
Very creative.
And Rocky is definitely intense too. So, if I can be as the spirituality of the Dalai Lama, the artistry of Chagall, and the energy of Sylvester Stallone, I'm very happy. I will not change my birthday.
They will. Good to hear. I think as you go in the conference room tomorrow, they'll think of you as Rocky, for sure.
Or Chagall.
Okay.
Probably not Dalai Lama. But I will do my best, I promise.
Okay. Well, all good things come to a close. So I want to thank you very much, Jean-Paul Agon, for sharing your experience.
Thank you.
From life with us. We appreciate your time. We definitely appreciate your honesty. And it was very generous of you to come here tonight. It's been an unprecedented privilege for me and for everyone in the audience. So on behalf of the Fragrance Foundation and your Givaudan friends, we want to thank you. I also want to give a very special thank you. This is my debut. It's like the debutante ball, and I finally come out as president.
Great.
So I want to thank Mary and Karen and Hallie and all of the Fragrance Foundation team. They did a fantastic job selling this out and bringing us all together. We are actually looking forward to our next special event, and I hope you can be here, though I know you don't come to New York as often. But on November 1st, we are very excited because we are going to have a Circle of Champions event where we honor someone very important in our industry. We're going to honor Nicholas Merizians, I think someone you know very well from International Flavors and Fragrances. Wave, wherever he is. And Nicholas, I have to find you on the way out.
Where is Nicolas?
Nicholas, where are you? Raise your hand.
Hey, stand up, Nicolas, come on.
Ah.
Don't be shy.
There he is.
Thank you.
And Nicholas, I'm going to find out when your birthday is, and I'll be back at you with that question. So
I'll prepare the question for you.
maybe we could do it together. I would not want to lose touch.
Good. Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a pleasure.
We're very happy you came tonight. We thank everyone in the audience for coming to hear Jean-Paul Agon. And don't forget your fabulous goodie bag on the way out with all your great L'Oreal fragrances.
Thank you very much for
skincare.
coming. Thank you. Thank you.
My new best friend.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That was great.